Alright guys, so I'm going to go over a few tips here to help you reach fluency in any language. So the number one thing is your motivation, right? And for these tips, they're going to link into each other. You're going to see as I go through them, they're going to just link right into each other. So number one being motivation. So motivation is going to get you through it. So for example, I'm personally learning Japanese right now with my friend because we plan to go to Japan in 2022. Right now it's 2021. So we're learning Japanese to go to Japan, which means my motivation is strong and it's not going to falter so easily, right? So you want a strong motivation for you to continue on. If you have a weak motivation, you're not going to be as successful and you might have to find new motivation or you just might quit altogether, all right? So an example of a strong motivation is going to the country for vacation, right? That's an easy one of the more obvious ones, right? Another one might be if you have a spouse or you have a boyfriend, girlfriend that speaks that language and you're going to meet their family that only speaks that language, right? That'd be quite a bit of a motivator. So I think motivation is going to help you stay consistent as well. And that leads me to part two, or the second tip. Second tip being consistency. So with consistency, it's kind of self-explanatory, right? You want to be as consistent as possible. You don't want to be taking breaks. And what I mean by breaks are not like hour breaks. I'm talking about like 2-3 week breaks, a month break. You don't want to take those kind of breaks. You know, definitely take hours off, but not big amounts of time such as days and weeks and months. All right, don't do that. Be consistent. Try to study every day. Try to practice every day. Try to interact with someone that speaks the language you're trying to speak every day. Okay, this helps your progress. It helps you stay motivated as well. You know, when you see that you're making progress with native speakers, you see you're advancing your vocabulary, you can say more things, that helps motivate you as well. So consistency and motivation are together. So talking a little bit more about consistency, how to stay consistent. You want to break things up into blocks of time. And that leads me to tip number 3, breaking things up into blocks of time. All right. So when you're being consistent, you don't want to overwhelm yourself too much, right? You want to leave chunks of time for you to not feel overwhelmed. You want to feel motivated, ready to go, not fatigued from the language. So the blocks of time, what I recommend to people, and this recommendation is also the recommendation I give if you're trying to learn the language at a faster pace. Okay, so you can take what I'm about to say and reduce the amount of time, right? And fix it to your own personal schedule or whatever. Okay. So what I've told my friends and people I've taught Spanish is, look, my recommendation for you is to do this. Take 2 hours out of your day to practice, learn, study the language. All right. First hour is more or less a bit of review. Second hour is newer stuff, whatever that may be. New grammar concepts or finding a new language partner, watching a new movie, whatever form it may take. All right. First hour, review whatever's you're struggling on or get clarification on. Anyways, so you want to take about 2 hours. And now it comes to the part of how do you block those 2 hours in your day. There's 3 ways I've done it and 3 ways that essentially I see possible. So the first and most obvious way is just do the 2 hour period. All right, just do it. Boom, 2 hours, not that bad. I can handle. I can actually go longer, but I'm a bit of a nerd. I'm a language nerd, so it's understandable that I go longer. And I mean, for the people I've helped out for 2 hours, it seems like they can manage 2 hours all right. Like doesn't seem to be too bad for them, you know. At least when I was teaching people, it seemed like, all right, you know, they could do 2 hours and they wouldn't really complain. But I also made it easy for them with these other suggestions. I was like, look, if you can't do 2 hours in a row, you know, what is also very beneficial is, you know, do 1 hour like in the morning and do 1 hour at night or midday or whatever. As you break it up and you split it within the day, right? And I've done that as well. You know, that works perfectly fine. And the last option, which also works fine, but you have to be a little bit more organized and knowing, and you have to kind of know what you're doing, is to break it up into 30-minute segments, right? You know, 30 minutes after breakfast, then 30 minutes after lunch, that's 1 hour, then another 30 minutes after you shower or whatever, and then like 30 minutes after you eat dinner. You know, there you go, 2 hours speaking, studying, whatever language, right? And these tips applicable to all languages, any language, really. And they're a way to help you reach fluency faster, right? And something to keep in mind is when you're first starting out, let's say you're going from, I'm gonna use the big terms. If you're gonna start from beginner, and you're gonna go to intermediate, you're gonna see the progression a lot faster than if you're going from intermediate to advanced. When you're going from intermediate to advanced, or, you know, when you're more advanced in general, your progression tends to be shown slower, right? It's slower progress. Whereas from intermediate, sorry, as for beginner to advanced, you can see it more, what's the word I'm looking for? Easily. You can see more easily, right? Just like a quick example is I was teaching this girl from Poland Spanish. She knew nothing in 8 weeks, and not lying, in 8 weeks, took her from beginner to intermediate. And then I let her do her thing. I'm like, yo, that's my advice. Follow it. You'll become fluent. All right. And I let her do her thing. And about like, what was it? Like about a half a year later or so, she calls me up and she's like, Alex, you know, I feel like I'm going really slow now. Like at the beginning, you gave me that big jump. And she's like, now I'm on my own and I just feel like I'm making very slow progress. And I told her, look, I don't remember if you remember this, but, and it's what I'm telling you guys now, is that, you know, at the beginning, if you're starting from 0 or just a beginner, the first big jump is from like 0 or nothing to intermediate, which I would call conversational, you know, being able to have a conversation. That's the biggest and easiest jump you'll see, and it's also the fastest one. From conversation to a call, very advanced, we'll just say, very advanced. It's a slower progression. It's a slower, just see your results slower, right? It's 1% increments, you know. Like, for example, right now I'm a native English speaker. If I go through the dictionary, there's going to be words I don't know, right? But if I want to make progress with like a dictionary, it's going to be kind of slow because I know most of the words already, right? Because you're at a level where like the things you don't know become less. I think that's part of it too. But nonetheless, those are the 3 tips. To go over them right away, real fast, they would be motivation. It's number 1. Number 2, consistency. Number 3, break up your time. Use it wisely. You know, study the older stuff, study newer stuff. And yeah, don't forget, like, subscribe, comment, ask any questions. If you have any questions, let me know. I'll make a video about it. And have a good day.